What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul. This is the Leeds Therapy. Thank you as ever for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. On the screen, you will see all of my socials. If you could give those a follow. So for the YouTube stuff, make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that your notifications are turned on. And make sure that you are commenting on the videos. You're hyping them, liking them, all that kind of good stuff. If you're listening on the audio, please also make sure that you're giving the audio a like for me as well. Again, that would be greatly appreciated. So here we go for the review of Everton versus Leeds. And just in terms of a high note for the actual game itself, if ever there was a term of a game of two halves, that was definitely it. First half was probably the best that I've seen us play away from home all season. For me, we were absolutely incredible in the first half. But for the thickness of a post, we could have been 2-0 up. And I think if we were 2-0 up, the game would have been pretty much won. Everton couldn't cope with the way that we were playing. They couldn't cope with the press. They couldn't cope with Aronson. They couldn't cope with Statch. They couldn't cope with the partnership of Grove and Ampadu just breaking everything up. And Justin and Bogle played very, very, very well in the first half. We had to ride it a little bit for the first 5 minutes. I think the first 5 minutes where the pressure was on a little bit, but we rode that okay. But we just dominated the first half for me. That was, like I said, some of the best that I've seen us play. We got the just rewards. Lovely, lovely, lovely goal. Really pleased for Justin. Step over from DCL. Brendan Aronson notices that Justin's coming in, so he leaves the ball and runs over it, and Justin just puts it into the bottom of the net. Absolutely fantastic finish and richly deserved. And like I said, you go off at the end of the first half thinking, yeah, this is good. We're in for a good shout here. And you start thinking about how, Everton's form at home hasn't been absolutely brilliant this season, so it's a lot to look into, and it should be quite good. And then the second half happens or starts, and Dewsbury Hall comes on. And you can see that what Moyes has done in a very, very, not clever, but in terms of being proactive to try and get something out of the game, he changes the system that Everton are playing compared to how they were playing in the first half. And, the first half was ridiculous. You had Aronson bullying Tarkowski, for God's sakes. It was silly. So in the second half, they what they did was they matched us. We played a 3-4 kind of 3-4-2-1 kind of formation, I think. And what they did in the second half is that they matched us. They were playing 4-2-3-1, but they matched us a little bit so we could, in terms of the midfield, it wasn't as what's the right word? We weren't as competitive, and for whatever reason, we seemed to sit off really, really deep, or we were getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And in fairness, we were actually handling the pressure okay. It was just more a case of the fact that we just seemed to, almost like we were trying to protect a one-goal lead, which is a dangerous game to play. And you don't know where that comes from. Does that come from Farker? Does it come from just the team just naturally just starting to sit back a little bit because they're tired? Stack's first proper game started to look a little bit tired. We lost a little bit of the battling in the midfield. Gruev got a booking. Stack got a booking. Just that little bit of that desire, power, aggression that we had started to move away a little bit because of those cards potentially. Calvert-Lewin was very, very isolated, and there was the change in the 66th minute, which was Gruev coming off for Ao Tanaka. Now, I'm very disappointed in Tanaka. I hold him in a lot of high regard, a lot of high standard in terms of the way that he plays. I think he played very, very poor. The one thing that I won't accept is somebody saying to me that, it's not a surprise when he hasn't been able to play very, very many games. And I'd say the same for any player, in all honesty, which is, I don't really care. You're in training. You train. You know what's happening, the way things are going at this current moment in time. You need to be on it every time. You need to be switched on. And he wasn't for the goal. He should have, absolutely 100% stopped that cross. Because the cross wasn't absolutely brilliant, to be fair. It was an all right cross into Barry, and Barry puts it over. The keeper's got no chance with that. I don't really care what anybody says. Bearing in mind as well with earlier on, Darlow had made an absolute stunner of a save earlier on. So I'm disappointed in Tanaka's performance. We needed to get control of the midfield, and I don't feel like when Tanaka came on that we got control of the midfield. I think for me, potentially the substitution to have made at that point would have been Longstaff for Gruev. Longstaff is combative, physical, all of that kind of stuff, which is what we really want to see, and kind of getting on the ball. However, Longstaff does come on, Boanorte comes on, Okafor comes on in the 85th minute, and this is where I have my grievance with Farke, because from the point that they score in the 76th minute, it's like, what were we waiting for? Those substitutions of Okafor, Boanorte and Longstaff, for me, should have happened probably at the same time that Tanaka goes off. I'll say this with chest. I think if those changes happen before, particularly the Longstaff one, if those changes happen, then I don't think Everton score. They were good in possession. They were doing well in possession, but they weren't causing us loads and loads and loads and loads of problems. We were inviting the pressure on and sitting a little bit too deep for my liking overall. The issue that I have is that the substitutions at 85 minutes, it gives the guys no time whatsoever to get involved in the game. It gives them no time to kind of get it up to speed. It takes them 6-7 minutes just to get up to the speed of the game. So by the time that 6 or 7 minutes has passed, when you've made the substitution at 86 minutes, that's, you're 92 minutes into 4 minutes of added time. And it just isn't enough. You could see Aronson was dead on his feet by that point. The guy's got through so much work over the past few weeks. He needed to come off sooner, as far as I'm concerned. It should have been... I think we could have walked away from this game with the 3 points, and that's the disappointing aspect of it. But on the other hand, one of the most important things is getting something out of the game. So getting a point and moving forwards. We're still 6 points clear of the relegation zone. We are a goal. Our goal difference is much better as well. So we've just got to keep believing. Look, at the end of the day, we all knew what was going to happen towards the end of the season. Teams were going to start to come to the good a little bit. Other teams were going to drop off. You only need to look at Crystal Palace. You only need to look at Spurs. I mean, Spurs have got an absolutely brutal run coming up in terms of who they've got to play. So bear with me a sec. Let me just look at who they've got to play consecutively. So where are we? There we go. So Spurs have got, from a consecutive run of fixtures, they've got City, Newcastle, Manchester to play, Arsenal. They're all consecutive games that they need to play. So there's still a long way to go, obviously. The positive that I take from it is that we're all really disappointed that we haven't won, which just speaks to how far we are actually coming as a team and how much improved we are as a team as well. That's now 1 loss in 11, that's for a team that's trying to stay in the Premier League, that's still a very, very good statistic to take. However, in contrast to that, what I will say is that Farke reverted to type a little bit in this game, because where we've praised him in the last few games for being very, very proactive and very, very much doing the right things at the right time, this time around, for me, he wasn't proactive enough. He didn't see what we could all see, that some of the guys were absolutely on their arses. So Stack was on his arse, Aronson was on his arse. We were losing the battle in the midfield. Even Calvert-Lewin probably could have done with a switch up. Bornau maybe could have done better for the goal. I'm not sure. This is the other thing that I have that I'm not sure about. Bornau played on the right-hand side last time with Rodon in the middle. I'm not sure why they didn't keep to that with Biol not being in the team. definitely a bell-shaped hole in that three-man defence, without a shadow of a doubt. And also as well, again, Justin took his goal very, very well deserved, and I've got nothing but plaudits for him. And to the Leicester fans that were screaming how shit he was, I'm sorry, he's been nothing but brilliant for us so far this season. So, again, just want to get that out of the way. If Goodmanson is playing tonight, that goal also doesn't happen as well, in my opinion. There was a massive Gabby Goodmanson-shaped hole, in that left wing-back position tonight, and it showed, particularly with his ability to get up and down the field on a regular basis and his ability to take players on. It was clear that he was missing. Very, very much so clear that he was missing. But I am going to take a point begrudgingly. I am happy at the fact that I'm annoyed, because it just means that we are improving, absolutely improving as a team. According to SofaScore, James Justin got man of the match with a 7.7 score, so that's good, pleasing for him. If you look at the momentum graph for the game as well, it's absolutely silly. It was all us in the first half, and then in the second half, it was all Everton. But again, Everton did a lot without really sort of penetrating us. It was that one. I mean, yeah, they smacked the bar as well, which obviously evens out with the bar with the bar that we hit, but with the post that we hit. But it just. Yeah, my concern is that slight reverting to type of Farke and not making the substitutions to try and freshen it up, which needs to see. But then at the same time that I'm going to be handing out a bit of, I'm annoyed at Farke, I'm also annoyed at the team for sitting so deep and not taking the game by the scruff of the neck. And, Ampadu should have been screaming at everybody, just come forward 5 or 10 feet, just come forward a little bit. Give yourselves a bit of breathing space. Give yourselves a little bit of room. And it is funny because we're all sat here and it feels like a loss, but it's not. It's another point on the road to safety, and that's the main thing. Obviously, we've got Arsenal coming up next, so God knows what's going to happen in that game. But yeah, I'm disappointed. I would have liked to have held on, but what we shouldn't have been doing from the start of the second half is that we shouldn't have been trying to soak up so much pressure and sit and defend deep and play that low block and say, we'll come and break us down if you can, because we're not established enough in the Premier League to be able to do that. And I don't know if that's something that's come from Farke or just something naturally that the players do, but it was noticeable, the drop off of intensity and pace compared to how other games have gone. And like I said, for me, that 85th minute substitution was it was far, far, far too late. That should have come at the same time as the Tanaka substitution was made for me, because, again, I'll repeat what I've said. I don't think Everton score if we make the substitutions earlier. It's just my humble opinion. But we take the point and we move on. That's going to do it for this one. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to click the like button. If you are new to the channel, please also don't forget to subscribe. It's weird that I'm disappointed that even though we're picking up points, but I'm disappointed about it. It's mad. If you flip that around and Everton score first, and then we get like a late equaliser, you're positive about it? Mad how football works, isn't it? Take care of each other, most importantly, take care of yourself. Thank you for your time. I will see you on the next one. Cheers.